Hey everyone, Gary here with Rock Solid Productions. A little bit of a different video for you here today. I don't know how I'm going to get through this one. It is going to be one of the most, just a different sort of video that I don't typically do here on the channel, and I'm gonna kind of let you all into a little bit of my world. The day that this is being recorded is March the 10th. Happy Super Mario Day. That's not actually why this is playing behind me. Today is 27 years today since the last time I had a chance to talk to my mom. As on March 11th, 1995, she actually lost her battle with cancer. And this is just going to be kind of a riffing sort of video. I don't have an idea kind of where I'm going to go with it, but just want to talk about it for a bit. It's not like it's a 5 or 10 year number or anything like that, but for some reason this year it's really weighing on me, and just kind of wanted to talk about how gaming helped me get through what I was going through back at that time. So March of 1995, I had actually just graduated high school a few months earlier. I actually graduated a few months early. I just wanted to get out of there. It was just one of those things that I never really fit in with any of the typical groups in high school. I wasn't a jock. I wasn't a theater person. I stopped, I wasn't in band anymore. I wasn't a band geek. I stopped that after 8th grade. And it's one of those that, like, for those of you who have never felt like you fit in, that's kind of how my 4 years of high school were, and kind of wanted to get out of there. And from the time I was a freshman to when I graduated, over those 4 years, my mom had her first bout of breast cancer, went into remission, and then had a second bout of cancer that was ovarian cancer. And going through everything that she went through, and I didn't even, God bless it, it's gonna be hard. I did not know the strength and bravery that she had until it was too late in a lot of ways. And some of that is super inspiring to me. Some of it is things that I've tried to impart on my kids. And part of it is why this channel exists. I mean, if you think back to 1995, YouTube, nobody knew what YouTube was. It didn't exist. The internet, we never had a computer in my house. It was actually one of the things before my mom died. She said, after she's gone, because she knew that she didn't have a whole lot of time, she's like, I'm going to leave you some money. I want you to go and get a computer and hold your dad to it that he actually let you go do it. And I did. It was a 486 DX2 with a 540 megabyte hard drive and nothing for RAM. But because of her, I was able to get my first computer. And I had always been gaming. And like I say, this is going to kind of be rambling. As I was going through processing as, a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and trying to come to terms with the fact that no matter what, this is not going to end well. My dad, my two brothers, and we had sat down at one point, and my mom, I think, was in the hospital after she had had one of her surgeries, which I'll share that story with you because it's actually really, really funny. And basically let us all know that the surgery, yes, they got a tumor out. It was huge, but things still don't look good. Going through and being able to process that, and again, not having, like I say, a group of friends that I hung out with a ton. There were 3 or 4 people that I hung out with on the regular, but I by and large kind of kept to myself. But gaming helped me so much, just as a distraction. I sunk so many hours into Super Mario World, and that was one of those things that I got my freshman year in high school. And I was bugging my dad forever and ever. He's like, I want one. And I've mentioned before, he was never a video gamer, didn't get it, didn't understand it, didn't appreciate it. And finally, my mom kind of said, go get it for him. So, we went and we got it from American TV in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and I played. It was right after school started, my freshman year, and I played the daylights out of this game here. Now, this is actually the Japanese version behind me, which is super cool. But she, was always one of those that she knew that I wasn't like my older two brothers. My middle brother was Joe Jockstrap, Mr. Popular, Mr. Party Guy. My oldest brother was a hunter, fisher, outdoorsman, still is to this day. And it's just one of those things that my family didn't understand me. My mom didn't even really understand a whole lot, but she always encouraged, which was fun. She was one of those, even when I was doing, and I'm not doing as much now as I used to, but my RC racing was the other thing I just sunk a ton of time into, again, just for that distraction. And after her surgery, like I mentioned, I was going to come back to this, she had a radical hysterectomy at one point, because like I mentioned, she had ovarian cancer. And she was kind of coming out of the anesthesia and whatnot, and she turns to the doctor and she goes, "Doctor, was the surgery a success?" And at that time they were just trying to give her something to be optimistic about. "Oh yes, we got the whole tumor, and it was the size of like either a basketball or a volleyball." And she processes it for a second. She's still coming out of anesthesia, and she turns to him. She goes, and was it a radical hysterectomy?" Doctor says, "Yes, ma'am, it was a radical hysterectomy." She says, "Awesome. It's the first time I've ever been radical in my life." She's just coming out of major surgery. And then she turns to my dad, "How big was the tumor?" And they, it was the size of a basketball. She turns to my dad, straight face, said, "Let's call it Bubba." It's amazing the strength that she had going through all that. So as I said earlier, today is, when I'm filming this, is March 10th. This is the last day I talked to her. And I talked to her, it was early in the morning. I knew that she had not been doing well for a bit, but I didn't realize things were as dire as they were. And I'd gone into her room, and she'd asked me to help her sit up. So I grabbed her by the legs, and being a dumb kid, I grabbed her and swung her out of the way, because, "Oh, help me up, help me up, help me up." And I didn't know yet that was the day, or that the next day was going to be the day. And I wasn't gentle with her, and she cried out in pain. And if you've ever been around anyone who has gone through chemo, who has gone through cancer, it's just one of those things that it really destroys someone's body. And I hurt her pretty good when I moved her leg so she could sit over the edge of the bed. And "Oh, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry." No, I'm sorry she apologized to me over and over. What I didn't get at the time was I thought that she was apologizing for yelling. She knew what she was facing. She knew this was the end. I truly believe, looking back, that she was apologizing that she wasn't going to be around anymore. And I didn't appreciate that at the time, but it's one of those now. I get it now. Definitely get it now. Now, I mentioned a bit earlier too that, well, my mom didn't know what YouTube was or anything along those lines. She's part of the reason why this channel exists. And I'll tell you why, which is really, really weird and really obscure. But through her actions, she kind of led me into what I do now. She was a florist by trade, so always very crafty and whatnot. And she worked at one of the local grocery stores as, just one of the, she wasn't the manager, she was the basically next in line, the assistant manager of the department essentially. But when she would come home, we had kind of a galley kitchen. And she had her corner that she would stand in, and she would sway as she listened to talk radio. And at that time, it wasn't political talk radio, it was just like common events or daily events, local events. That's the phrase I'm looking for, local events on News Talk 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. And I remember she would always listen to from, I think it was either from 2 to 6 or 3 to 6, it was Jonathan Green, The Greenhouse. And listening to talk radio when I was around with her, it was one of those things that, and even when we were on car trips and at the same station, 620 TMJ, listening to Paul Harvey, and it always got me interested in broadcasting, doing radio. I actually had a chance to do radio for a little bit, thanks to Sparky at Sports Radio 1250 WSSP at Sparky's Final Inspection. I'm honored to have been a part of one of the original shows that when that station went through a reformat. But hearing her talk back and forth with Jonathan Green on, through the radio. When I say talk, she's talking back to the radio, wasn't actually talking with them. And it's like, this is really interesting. It's a way that you can engage with people differently than a face-to-face conversation. So that was something that, I always associate with her even to this day. I can still see her doing that, and the reason she stood in the corner, she had terrible issues with her back and legs. She actually had rods put in her back before I was born due to spinal issues that she had. I was not supposed to be here. My father had a vasectomy because of the medical issues that my mom had, because they basically said that if my mom had gotten pregnant, it could have killed her, or at least it would have put her in traction. And well, it wasn't an easy pregnancy, I know that. But that's also the reason why my middle brother is adopted, is because my dad had that procedure. They wanted more kids. That's where my middle brother came from. But it's one of those that, the standing and swaying and listening to the Greenhouse on TMJ definitely inspired me to kind of look into doing that for myself and kind of, pursuing that as a career, hobby, whatever you want to call it. And I talked about her bravery too. None of us really knew, but she did, that the final Christmas would be the final Christmas, for example. Only 4 months, clearly, from March to December, only 4 months in the rears. She was the glue that kept us together. And I don't just mean my dad, my 2 brothers, and I mean our whole family. To date, there are divisions within the family that, if she would have been around longer, I don't think would have existed. But the Christmas after she passed, my dad had done the best that he could. He and I had been kind of on the outs. I was actually dating my oldest daughter's mother at that time, so I was kind of staying with her, kind of staying with him. But he didn't want to put up Christmas stuff that year. Just didn't want to do it. Didn't see a reason why. And I was right there with him. And then I kind of had Mom would be pissed at us for not doing this. So I got down the Christmas tree. It's the same tree I have in my house now today. It's in that room over there. My oldest daughter grew up with it. Ellie will grow up with it. Got down the tree, got down the ornaments, got down all the decorations. And by myself, I set Christmas up in our home. And it was one of those things that was my mom and I. We did that. So it's kind of appropriate that I did it too, just with her not being there anymore. And as I'm going through and unboxing Christmas, I'm noticing notes that she wrote on certain things the year before, to my oldest brother, to my middle brother, to myself. Her knowing at that point in time I had been involved in RC 4 or 5 years. I had always wanted to be a full-size race car driver. It just never happened. one of the things that she had done was, one of the things she wrote, she had a German Santa that she passed down to me. And her heritage, our heritage, was always so very important to her. And on the inside of the lid, she, something to the effect of, "Dear Gary, here's my German Santa. Sorry, it's not a race car." So she knew she wouldn't be there a year later. And she could still be a smartass. It was amazing that she could do that. And there were a number of just keepsake items that she wrote notes to for all three of us, myself, my two brothers. But it goes further. Because she figured at some point in time, one of the three of us would have kids. My oldest brother and his wife, and they've been married coming up on, actually I think they just had their 26th anniversary last year, so I think actually this year is their, anyways, close to 30 years they've been married. And there was stuff that she had to go to them, but they had said that they were never going to have kids, they were going to have puppies. Well, my nephew Hunter is almost 10 years old now, so that changed. I was lucky enough to have the first grandchild. And my oldest daughter has my mom's name as one of her middle names. But she actually had a gift for her for the first grandchild when they were born. Damn. Again, it's one of those, the bravery she went through and had that I did not know and I couldn't appreciate at the time. And now that I'm older with my own kids, it's one of those that I really hope that I can go ahead and pass on through her legacy, telling stories about her, and just keeping her memories alive. And I know this is going to sound lame, but the one thing that kept me grounded, kept me focused, kept me distracted, was stuff like this, was stuff like Super Mario World, was video gaming, was my RC. It was an outlet at a time that I needed something to focus on versus the pain, the loss, the hurt. In some ways, I could have dealt with it better at the time. It's one of the reasons I have problems now talking about it. Don't take me to a funeral, I lose it. But it's one of those that I love this stuff. This is, again, one of my outlets, one of my passions, one of the things I just enjoy doing. And back then, it was a solitary thing. And for me now, playing with first my oldest Cassie, and now starting to play with Ellie Jo, it's one of those things that enjoying and sharing what you enjoy with those that are closest to you is a way not just to have fun now in the moment, but to pass on that legacy as well. I hope that's one of the things that my oldest always remembers, like I do. The first time that she beat me at Wii Bowling, dear God, she, why won't you let me win? Well, because if I let you win when you actually win, it won't mean as much. And then when she actually won, it meant a whole lot to her. I don't know how Ellie's going to deal with that. She's a little bit young. She hasn't actually played. She thinks she plays, but it's one of those that, being able to pass that on and to spend that quality time with them doing something that is just silly fun. It's just one of those that I had a few videos that I could have done for today. And traditionally, I don't work March 11th. I just have stuff going on at work right now where taking the day off was not an option. And trying to think, it's like I could have tried to push through and do a review video today. I thought about doing a stream tomorrow. I just wanted to talk about what an amazing person my mom was. And what an impact she had on me. And how this stupid shit here helped me get through one of the hardest points in my life. Now, I still go, and she's buried in Wisconsin, obviously. I'm here in central Illinois now. And, I still try to go up and visit her plot, her crypt as often as I can. I actually have a little 6-inch tall Christmas tree with LED lights that I flocked because our Christmas tree was flocked. I take care every year. Well, most years. COVID's been tough on that. It's just one of those things that, and again, I'm rambling, and I know that, and I'm sorry, but you know what? Hey, thanks for watching. In 2012, I think it was, I had a chance to be a guardian on an honor flight. And for those of you who don't know what honor flights are, it's basically where you take World War II and now Korean, Vietnam veterans to visit their memorial. And and I'm going to ruin the quote, but it's something to the effect of tomorrow is never guaranteed. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. I thought that I would have both my folks a whole lot longer than I did. The fact that I wasn't even 44 and I had lost both my parents. It's kind of tough. Actually, it's not kind of. It's tough. It's a crock. But keeping their legacies alive has been, it's not a challenge. It's been an honor. So yeah, it's been a different sort of video. I guess it kind of went off the rails a little bit, but it was good to do. It really was. I'm not going to ask you to donate to any particular cancer society. If you want to, please do. Cancer sucks. It's why my mom's not here. My middle brother's still going through it, although he's almost to his second remission, which fingers crossed on that. But never be too busy to make time for those who are the closest to you. Don't let petty arguments and grudges take away time, because you can't get that back. You just can't. Laugh often. Tell stories. And let people be proud of you. I think my mom would be amazed at the fact that I'm doing this. The fact that she has 3 amazing grandkids. The fact that, we've traveled. I've been to Germany. She never got to Germany. She always wanted to go to. I had a chance to go there. I had talked about going there with my dad. He never made it there. But parents are not as dumb as you think. And kids, you're not as smart as you think either. After my mom died, like I mentioned, it caused some rifts in the family. And my dad and I didn't talk for a few years, just with other issues going on. And then I remember shortly after Cassie was born, I called him up one day. I said, "Dad, I'm sorry." "For what?" "Everything." And that pretty much covered it. Today I choose to remember my mom's strength, her courage. She was everybody's mom. From my brother's friends, my friends, to kids and scouts, to co-workers that worked with her at the grocery store in the floral department and everything. She had such a huge heart that she wanted to make sure that everybody was taken care of everyone felt loved, and everyone had a good time. And we're having a good time. We miss her, and we love her. And again, sorry for kind of a different, super deep sort of video here this week, or this. And again, sorry for kind of this really super deep, super, like, not typical video at all. But I not only needed to, but I wanted to talk about her, to tell part of her story to all of you, because she deserves that. And we're not going to leave this on a sad note, because I want to share one of my favorite memories. When I was in 6th grade and just going into middle school, and sorry if you hear the furnace having just kicked up, I decided I wanted to join the band. And my family had actually bought a 2-level organ when I was a kid, because I think my middle brother Scott was the one who wanted it, because he was going to take lessons, which lasted like 6 weeks. And then we had this $1,000 organ sitting in our living room, and I'm, like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm starting to play by ear and, really getting the hang of it. Well, when I was, like I say, it would have been 6th grade, going to North Middle School, Menominee Falls, I decided, had all the instruments there to choose from, and for some reason I got attracted to the baritone. I didn't know why, I just did. So I picked the baritone up, and it was one of those where the school provided the instrument. And I was a latchkey kid, Gen X, how you doing? So I got home before my mom did from work. And so I took my baritone in its case to my bedroom. She came home about 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it was, and she was swaying in her corner, listening to the Greenhouse, and asked how my day was after I heard her come home and whatnot. We talked for a little bit. She asked if I picked out an instrument. I'm like, no, I didn't. None of them really spoke to me. I didn't really want to do it. And she was kind of bummed out because she wanted me to play the sousaphone, because in her mind that would have been an all-expense college tuition paid for to the University of Wisconsin if I was a sousaphone player in the marching band. No, I didn't get anything. So I looked at one thing, but I don't remember what it was called, and I decided not to. Oh, okay. So she turned around. She always drank Manhattans too, which was the other thing. So she was drinking her Manhattan, listening to the Greenhouse. I think she was paying bills in the corner, and I come down our hallway. So it was hallway down, and then you make a left-hand turn into the galley kitchen. She had no idea that I'd come back down the hallway, and I had the baritone with me. I couldn't play anything except for one loud note, just blew it as loud as I could. Scared the hell out of her. Gary, what are you doing? And she and I both started laughing about it. And she never missed a concert. She always supported what I was doing as far as in band and whatnot. But I got her butt good with my baritone. And just thinking about that story still makes me laugh. So I am Gary. This has been Rock Solid Productions. I want to thank you for kind of sitting and hearing this therapy session, for lack of a better term. But I miss my mom. I love my mom. I will always remember my mom. And being March 11th, it's an extra special day, as it is the day she went home.